We are on. Yes, we are. Good morning, everybody. Listen, guys, we are only streaming on YouTube right now. I will put TikTok on in a moment, but I just wanted to start, and I want to start and talk about the migration crisis in the United Kingdom, because we all talk about it, right? But I don't think people fully understand how bad it is. Now, at some point, there's going to be a tipping point, I guess. In fact, that should have been the. I might change that. I might change the heading actually. At some point, there is going to be a tipping point in the United Kingdom. We're an island, right? We have a certain amount of taxes that we collect as a, I'm going to try and keep this as objective as I can. There is only a certain amount, a finite number of taxes that we collect in the United Kingdom, and that will be, call that X, call that value X, taxes collected in the United Kingdom, call that X. There is also an amount of money we pay on welfare, housing migrants in hotels, and the associated costs. Now, when Y becomes greater than X, we have collapse. That is just mathematics, right? That's Raven maths, okay? When we can't collect enough money in taxes to pay for hotels, to pay for food, to pay for accommodation, to pay for taxes, to pay for doctors. When that happens, it's collapse, and that is the inevitability. Now, is anybody under the illusion that this migrant crisis is going to stop? Anybody? So if the government were going to stop it, it would have been stopped already. I mean, it's really easy to stop it, right? You just put the Navy on the coast, and you say, right, lads, just make sure no boats come in. That's the first thing you do. It's got all the ticks in the boxes for the government. Like, it's tick, 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 tick. It's going to get them more votes. It's going to raise their popularity. And, that's what I would speculate this government needs, a little bit of popularity. So why is it not being done? The simple solution, the simple answer is it's not being done because they don't want to do it. I can guarantee, ladies and gentlemen, with 100% certainty, if the Royal Navy with the Royal Marines went out on that border and they said, no, you're not coming, I can guarantee that they could do it. Those rubber dinghies would not put up much of a fight against an aircraft carrier. I'm just putting it out there, guys. Okay, I'm putting it out there. So there is going to be an inevitable collapse if this doesn't stop. So I watched this. I might do it in a minute. I went on Google Maps the other day. You go on the street view on Google Maps, and I was looking at this. I was looking at this town. What's it called? Crowborough. It's near Milton Keynes. And what a lovely little town. What a lovely little village. Absolutely gorgeous. There's a little pub there called, I think it's called Henry VIII. And it's just fantastically quintessentially British. It's like one of those little towns or villages. I think it's a village, actually. That you see on a postcard. For those of you guys who've been following me, when I went over to northern France, to look at this migrant crisis firsthand, what I was seeing is thousands, I guess, of migrants, many from the Middle East, many from North Africa, many from Africa, roaming around the countryside, beautiful countryside, and they were just roaming around. And can you imagine now if, these people? I guess it's hard. It's easier to hide when this happens to a city, right? Because you get the anonymity of a big city. Nobody really knows who's who in a big city. You just walk around. Yeah, he's there. But in these smaller villages, people have lived there all their lives, and all of a sudden, boom, I think 600 men, 600 fighting age men of no particular abode turn up in your village. Can you imagine how scared some of these people are going to be if they open their windows one morning and there's three random people stood in their garden just looking? Because this is what was happening. This is what is happening in northern France. And this is not just a UK problem. This is like, this to me feels like an absolute erasure. It does. And I don't mean the 90s pop band, guys. I don't mean the 90s pop band. It feels like absolute erasure. It does. Right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Who we got? We've got Four Paws. We've got Tesla Bot. We've got the Watchman. We have got Gone Commando. Gone Commando. He said tipping point with Bradley Walsh was nuts. Tipping point. I don't know. I've not read that. I've not read that. Sorry. Slim is saying, good morning and chat. As long as the aliens are here, we will be second-class citizens. Send them home. Sausages is saying, importing these people is no accident. It's policy for a reason. Look, guys, I want to try and be as objective as I can. I really do. I want to try and be as objective as I can on this live stream. So let me start with my opening monologue, and then I'll share some videos, because this, like they're shipping these people in at nighttime now. You have any idea how intimidating, like, the optics of that? Can you imagine the optics and the, you know, just think about that, guys. It's just crazy. It's absolutely wild. And look, I put it in the chat. Does anyone see? Can anyone see an off-ramp right now? Can anyone see an off-ramp? I mean, we all think that voting for Farage in 2029 is gonna change something, but look, by the time we get to 2029, how bad are things gonna be? So 2025 saw 41,000. I think the official number is like 41. It's over 41,000, but 41,000 rubber dinghies, boat channel crossing migrants, basically rubber dinghy migrants. I feel mean saying that, but they are. It's rubber dinghy migrants. They braved the treacherous English Channel from France, and that is up from the year before, and the second highest on record. That's not a trickle of people. Can you imagine 41,000 people? Honestly, guys, just try and visualize this. Let me go. Hang on, let me ask Google. I've just asked Google what stadium in the United Kingdom has a capacity of 40,000. Okay. Oh, perfect. All right. So Stamford Bridge. Right. Stamford Bridge. Stamford Bridge literally has a capacity of 41,000, right? Exact perfect numbers. All right. So imagine Stamford Bridge. Imagine Stamford Bridge Stadium full. Hang on, I'll share this picture with you. So this is the migrant crisis right now. This is what came to the United Kingdom last year. That's Stamford Bridge, the Chelsea Football Club. All right. Imagine that full. Imagine all those people turning up onto the shores. That's what's happening, guys. That is what's happening. That's 41,000 people fit in there. And that's can you imagine if all those people just turned up at once? Whoa. But because they're turning up like 1,000, you know, a couple hundred here, the numbers are phenomenal, you know, and they've not stopped. They've not slowed down. So it's not a trickle of people. It's a lot of people. And then if you add in the broader picture, from October 24 to September 25, there were 110,000 asylum claims flooding the system, the highest ever. Yes, net migration dipped slightly, but do you know why net migration dipped? It dipped because there are millionaires and people with money, people with businesses just saying, thank you very much, I'm leaving the UK. I'm good. I'm going somewhere else. So it's really weird that the government are saying, but net migration's dipping because people are leaving. Yeah, it's the wrong type of people that are leaving and the wrong type of people that are coming. So the politics of it all. Remember the Labour Party? They scrapped the Rwanda scheme. Now that Rwanda scheme, as I understand it, cost like £1 billion, and they just scrapped it. It's just ridiculous. You know, they scrapped it. They scrapped it faster than you can say. Waste of billions. No flights ever. I think that, you know, I do actually. I think there was a couple of test cases that went to Rwanda, but that was it. As soon as that happened, crossings shot up. That's the reality. As soon as the Labour government got in, everybody was coming over. They were. People were, you know, they're banging on about smashing smuggling gangs. Can you remember Keir Starmer saying we're going to smash the gangs? More money to France, you know, giving more millions to France to beef up their, to beef up their patrols, the French patrols. You know, and I saw this with my own eyes, literally with these things. Mark 1 eyeball. And this is what, you know, I think people are disconnected from people are disconnected from what's happening in northern France. Imagine being a French policeman, right? You're a French policeman, and the crime rate of a village is X, right? The crime rate of a village is X. Migrant camp moves in. What do you know? And there's thousands of these men roaming the countryside. How do you think those people in France are gonna be? And people wonder why the French police won't enforce these laws. Would you be honest? Would you enforce these laws? And it's all well and good pointing the finger at the French, you know, saying, "We're giving you millions. You need to sort." Those French police officers are not getting paid any extra. Those French police officers are trying to look after the people in France. Does anyone blame I don't. Honestly, I've seen a lot of people getting angry on the internet saying, "Oh, these French police, they're disgusting. It's disgusting." Like, put yourself in those French policemen's shoes. Well, let's go into another scenario, right? Imagine you're a Viking lord, right? You're a Viking lord, and you've got a massive crime rate in your village, and it's this certain demographic who are committing all the crime, and then 200 of them want to leave. Are you going to let them leave? Or are you going to say, "Oh, no, you can't go in that water, it's dangerous"? Or are you going to say, "Get yourself off, go to Jono's village, you know, go to Jono's problem now"? Of course they're going to do that. It's ridiculous, you know. And the fallout is an absolute nightmare. Like, where do I start with this? Housing's like already a nightmare. It's ridiculous. Try finding a flat like in a city. Now, if you throw in thousands more, you know, needing roofs over their head. 41,000 people, guys. That's how many people came in last year. And that's added to the year before, added to the year before, added to the year before. And this is just boat migrants. There's people coming here on student visas and staying, then bringing their families. There's all sorts of crazy stuff happening. At some point, we're going to break. That's the reality, you know. And if you know, just using the boat migrants as it's easy to visualize, right? It's easy to visualize, you know, with these guys coming over. At some point, we won't have enough money to pay. That's inevitable. We collect X amount of taxes, and the welfare bill is Y. If Y gets higher than X, we're over. And that's where I feel we're going right now. You know, thousands more people need roof over their heads. Thousands more people need the NHS. And that's the reality. You know, 41,000 people turning up last year on boats. They all need NHS services. They all need dentists. They all need gas. They all need electricity. They all need water. How much water do you think 41,000 people drink? Where are the extra reservoirs to cope with this? Right, let me jump onto the chat actually, because I'm doing this a bit differently because I'm not streaming on TikTok, so I feel like it's a little bit odd because I've not got my TikTok thing up there. Linda Lou is saying while in the barracks they should be processed and deported straight away, and if they think they have human rights case, they should be dealt with from the country they're deported to. Do you know what, Linda Lou? That's quite a good idea. That you could deport people and then they could deal with the human rights case from that country. That's actually a really good idea. Band again is saying UK will go to the IMF for a loan and under their full control. I mean, we're pretty much under their control anyway, right? We are pretty much under control anyway. The Watchman is saying it will break the country. It kind of has, or it has, it really has. And I was watching some videos, of these, the migrants turning up at night, like when it's dark, getting off the buses. You're like, is this really happening? And when you visualize, when you visualize 41,000 people standing there, that's a lot of people. David Campbell is saying Brexit caused this, no Dublin agreement. I don't think Brexit did cause this. I don't think we ever left the European Union. If we'd have left the European Union and the European Court of Human Rights, people are saying that we could have sent them back. I think this is bigger. I do. I think this is a lot bigger than Brexit. The argument that Brexit causes this, my counter argument to that would be we never really left the European Union because we're still in the, we're still part of the European, the ECHR, the European Court for Human Rights. Now, we can't stop the boats because of the ECHR. Linda Lewis saying at the Crowborough Barracks, they have a permanent GP on site. Well, that's nice for them, isn't it? That's nice. Right, let me continue. And look, you know what, actually, David Campbell, David Campbell, do you feel that there is a migrant crisis? Let's not worry about what caused it. David Campbell, do you agree that there is a migrant crisis? Because some people are still in denial. Some people are still in denial and they say, "Oh, there isn't really a migrant crisis. It's just." I'm like, are you really? Are people still saying that? So let's talk about the fallout. I've touched on it briefly. Housing's already difficult, the NHS, water, schools, everything, wages. Economists squabble over whether migrants are a net drain or boon, but they're not paying taxes. So we are not talking about the I'm not talking about the people who come here legally. I still think those numbers are too high. I'm talking about the people who are here illegally and the people who are not working. You only have to look at the statistics. I think it's the top statistics of migrants that don't work are Somalians, Iranians, Iraqis, and Afghanis. They just don't work. But people are saying that, the migrants should be filling gaps in care homes. Can you imagine sending your nan to a care home? And somebody comes out that doesn't speak English as their first language. You're like, how's it going in here, nan? The public mood is absolutely diabolical, No, that's the wrong word to use. The public mood is a mood of fury. And more people are just noticing it now. But the problem is the people who are noticing it now and speaking up, where were you guys saying things 10 years ago? Literally 10 years ago, where were you guys then? Oh, it's nothing. People just want a better life. What, at your expense? If somebody comes to your house and says, It's all right in here. Yeah, I'm going to live here as well. Would you honestly be honest, right? If you're watching this right now, and I mean, everybody's welcome, right? Everybody's welcome on the chat, and I welcome diverse opinions. If you're the type of person that a couple of years ago said everybody's welcome, everybody deserves a better place to live, absolutely fine, I agree. Would you open your door to a stranger and just let a stranger come and live in your house for free? Pay for their food, they don't have to do anything, and then say, oh yeah, but he wanted a free. You've got to work. If you don't work for things, you don't value it. Somebody, a guy told me that once, and I thought he was a douche. He wasn't. He was right. He told me how much he charged for his day rate, and it was phenomenal. Like, his day rate was phenomenal. I said, mate, that's high. He said, yes, it is, Sean, but if people don't pay for things, they don't value it. So you, for example, you've paid for your NHS, you pay with your taxes, you pay your road tax, you pay your way, right? So you value that stuff. If you just turn up and get given things for free, you don't value it. It's somebody else's problem. I'll throw rubbish on the street. Why? It's not my problem. I don't pay. If you don't pay for stuff, you don't value it. These little trinkets, what are they called? Little trinkets, girls have them, and they have like little bracelets, and they're like 60 quid each for these little things, and it's ridiculous. What are they called? Is it a Nemesis bracelet? I don't know. You girls are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. It's little shops, you go there, and like little trinkets on like a silver bracelet. I can't remember what they're called, but they're like 60 quid each. No way in a million years are those things worth £60. But because you pay for it, right? Because your little girls pay for that out of their spending money and their pocket money, they really value it, right? They really value it. If you just threw a load of them, right? If you just threw a load at them and your kids and said, oh yeah, get some of them, they're free. They'd be like, I don't want them. Bothered. You've got to pay for things. And if you don't pay for things, you don't value them. And that's what's happening right now. But it's topping the charts, guys. It's polling. It's polling this month. People are absolutely furious. Topping the charts. The number one gripe with 2/3 of people saying that the migrant crisis has already spiraled out of control. Now, here's the kicker, guys. What's staring everybody in the face, and I have touched on it briefly. With no clear end in sight, I'm just talking about continued boat migration. Because there's no clear end in sight, right? At this pace will inevitably lead to the collapse of the United Kingdom. I'm just talking about financially now. I'm not talking about socially. I'm not talking about a civil war. I'm just literally giving you guys the numbers, right? Just the numbers. I don't think it's going to come to this. I think violence will be there before this. But just financially, it's not possible to sustain these numbers indefinitely. At some point, there's not going to be enough tax collected to keep all the lights on. We're taking, we're talking billions poured into this process every month. Maybe even every day when you go into the downstream systems. Housing, support, NHS, hotels, taxes, dentists, human rights bills. When these guys get their, their asylum claim rejected, they then appeal that. They then get legal aid. That legal aid goes to the cost. The real cost is ridiculous. While our aging population in the United Kingdom means fewer workers now footing the bill, birth rates are tanking year on year. We're not having enough children, more deaths than birth. So we need people. Yes, we do. We need people in the United Kingdom. We need more kids. That's what we need. but not uncontrolled chaos that overwhelms the system and erodes trust. We are heading to an absolute breaking point where the coffers run dry, divisions deepen, and the whole ship sinks. And can you imagine where we've come as like the British Empire in 100 years? You know, do you know what? Less, 80 years, end of the Second World War. Can you imagine what we've done to ourselves in 80 years? It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. Right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're on and you've not done so already, please make sure you hit those buttons down below, the like, follow, subscribe, all those bell notifications. We are talking about the migrant crisis in the United Kingdom. We're talking about things are just getting worse because they are. 41,000 boat migrants, that's just boat migrants, came to the United Kingdom last year. That is enough people to fill the Chelsea Football Club stadium. Now, if you visualize that, it's quite a dramatic view, right? And violence, you know, the inevitability of this is violence. At some point, this has to happen, right? You know, it's not just me talking about it. There's a lot of other people talking about it. There is no layoff. There is no layoff to this, you know, and it's, I think watching this Crowbridge, is it Crowbridge? Crowborough? Watching Crowborough, watching that village, you know, it just, let me get this up. Sorry, let me get this up on Google Maps and I'll show you guys. This one, where do I go? Give me a second. Right, let me just get the street view on. Hang on, give me a second. Right, I'm totally doing this off the cuff. Right, Henry VIII. I'm sure there's a pub called. Oh, there we are. No, Henry VIII pub. I've spelt it wrong. King Henry VIII. King Henry VIII. Right, let me get this on the. Right, I'm gonna share this with you now. Okay, this is from the street view on. This is from the street view on Google Maps. This is that town, Crowborough. Just look how beautiful that is. Honestly, look how ferociously beautiful that is. Is it me or is that just ferociously beautiful, guys? Can you imagine living there all your life? Let's go around here. See what around here is. Look at the little. Oh my God! Look at that little church and the little thing. Like, how long is the? Honestly, it's apps, and that's the little pub, Henry VIII, King Henry VIII, little pub, little picturesque pub. Now home to 600 migrants. 600 migrants are going to be walking around that town. Can you imagine that? Like the devastation. Band again is saying Crowborough, England, beautiful world. It is. It's just going. It's literally just sliding away. Tracy is saying, I'm sorry, Sean, the government is taking your softness for weakness. There are the P here in Northern Ireland. If the touch our kids, your house goes up. Go home, Gov has divided our country so bad, it's too late. Timsky is saying, here's one for you. My daughter's just been to Egypt and had some photos done while quadding in the desert. Photographs only got them doing poses with ISIS hand signals. So the ISIS hand's that, isn't it? That's the ISIS hand. John is saying a proper country village, absolutely gorgeous. Now let's hope it stays that way. It's just, it's ridiculous. It's a nice place. Sadly, it won't be for long. And look, and I'll talk quickly about what I know I've said this before, but I'll talk quickly about what I saw when I was in northern France. Northern France in and around these migrant camps are, I would say equally as beautiful, but in a French way. And can you imagine these streets now just littered with, young men of no fixed abode, walking down the streets. Maybe they want to go and, maybe they think houses are free, maybe they want to try some door handles. Maybe they want to, maybe they want to stand outside a school and watch the kids play, because that's a thing now, right? That's a thing that we have in the United Kingdom. Men just watching kids play in the playground. DMarie Gen X is saying, where I am, it's been awarded a sanctuary city. Oh, I'm sorry, DMarie Gen X. I'm sorry, DMarie. We're now terrified as the party in charge of the council are woke lefties. Sinn Féin. Right. Can you guys remember? I know I can. I can remember when Sinn Féin was for the Irish. We are Sinn Féin. We do not. Irish is for the island. Ireland is for the Irish. We want to get you British soldiers out of our land. Like, can you guys remember that? Now it turns out that Sinn Féin are, yes, we don't want British soldiers or British on our land, but anybody from the third world, you're all welcome in Northern Ireland. It's ridiculous. Craig Mawson is saying, Sean, Brexit should be called Brexit. I don't think Brexit ever happened. It really didn't happen. I can remember what was it, 2016? I can remember the 2016 vote. I think by 2019, nothing had happened, right? And I know this. Let me have some coffee. Let me get some coffee. I think this is going to be a little bit of a brutal coffee, actually. Give me a second. So I think it was 2017 or maybe, call it 19. I can't remember. Call it 19. By 2019, nothing had happened. An associate of mine wanted to invest in the United Kingdom. He wanted to build airplanes, basically, in the United Kingdom, and I was going to be his general manager, right? We were going to do this in Sheffield at the, if anybody knows Sheffield, there's an old runway, and it's now called I think it's called the Advanced Manufacturing Center or something like that. Anyway, we were going to build airplanes there. We were literally, we had the money, we had the parts, we had the tools. They were all going to be shipped over from the United States, and we were going to build airplanes in the United Kingdom. That was going to be my job. I was going to be the general manager. But he didn't know what was happening with Brexit. And he's like, listen, Sean, I need to know what tax laws are going to change and stuff. And because in the United Kingdom, I don't know if you still do it now, but you get a really good tax rebate if you're developing prototypes in the United Kingdom. So what happens is, you get a lot of foreign companies coming to the United Kingdom and starting here because if you build a prototype in the United Kingdom and that is new technology, developing new technology, you don't have to pay tax on it or something, basically. Or no. I think you get half of the money back. Yeah. So whatever you spend, this is true. It was true. I might be slightly wrong, right? This is how I believe it for entertainment purposes. If you build, or certainly in 17, if you 1819. If you built a prototype in the United Kingdom, and that is a novel new prototype, a new aeroplane, a new X, Y, and Z, the government will give you half of that money back. So if you spend £1 million on, or I don't know, 100 quid or whatever, on a prototype, you send your receipts off. It's a bit more complicated than that. And then the government will give you half of that money back. I think it's half. So a lot of foreign companies will set up in the United Kingdom because why wouldn't you take advantage of that, right? That's why you do get a lot of innovation startups coming from the United Kingdom. But yeah, Brexit never actually worked. Brexit never actually started. And he made the right choice. I say to him now, I say, mate, you dodged a bullet there, didn't you? Not setting up in the United Kingdom. He says, absolutely. Can you imagine how bad I would have felt if we had a failing company now and I'd been the guy who's saying, yeah, let's invest in the United Kingdom. Let's invest. Rocky Mountain Bear is saying, I have family who live in Bournemouth. I went there on holiday in the late 90s and the beach was a dream. Now it looks more like a third world African country. Very sad. Yeah. We took the girls to Scarborough. Is it Scarborough? I think it's Scarborough. We took the girls to Scarborough. We had the same thing. Cherileo is saying, that's what Biden copied from your leaders. That's where they brought Trump back. Cherry Leo, I don't know what Cherry Leo. Can you give context to that, please? Can you give some more context? I don't know. I don't know what that means. Right, I've got a headline here. Labour claims it's. In fact, give me a second. I'll refresh this. Right, I'll refresh this, then I'll share it. Hang on. If I refresh this and then share it quick, then I won't get the ads. So let's do this quick. So I'm just going to read this, guys, okay? Labour claims it's solving the migrant crisis. The truth will make your blood boil. So are you ready to have your blood boiled? And there's a beautiful picture of Shabina Mahmood. Hang on, can I show that? Can I? No. Right, and this is the picture they've got. This is the picture they've got as the... And that's the picture they've got on the article. Shabina Mahmood, their Islamic little pendant on. Great lady, wonderful lady now. So get ready to get your blood boiled. And this is an article that was released today, 6 o'clock in the morning, 24th of January. So Labour claims it's solving UK migrant crisis. The truth will make your blood boil. Are you ready for your blood to be boiled? Labour claims it's getting tough on illegal migration, but Britain's borders remain as leaky as a sieve. There are numerous examples of how Britain has become a pale imitation of the proud country it once was, but few are more stark than this. The first wave of more than 500 illegal migrants had just moved into their new home on a former military base in Crowborough, East Sussex. And I just showed you guys how beautiful that place is, right? It's phenomenally beautiful. I love these, like, these little English country villages. That is England. That is not London, not Manchester, not Birmingham and Sheffield or Newcastle. These little villages, these little quaint villages, that is England. With their arrival came an admission. The first by the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood. These men are here illegally. For years, the left and its pearl-clutching brethren of activists and human rights lawyers have balked at the use of the word illegal in the context of those who pitch up here. Well, illegally, That is with no right, let alone paperwork, identification, or documents. Miss Mahmood was unequivocal in her use of the word illegal migrants, but that's as good as it gets. Her choice of accommodation for these young men, and they are all exclusively young men, couldn't be more insulting. The camp and area around Cowbridge has been used extensively by various military units over the years, most notably by Canadian forces for the invasion of the invasion of France, the D-Day invasions of France in 1944. Indeed, their heroic assault on Juno Beach resulted in significant casualties, but the bravery of the 3rd Canadian Infantry Division, supported by the 2nd Canadian Armour Division in securing the beachhead, allowed the liberation of Western Europe to start. In short, they played their part by saving the world from tyranny. Now, approaching 82 years after the Normandy landings, what a dark irony. The same location used to plot the mighty military raid is now being used to accommodate those who have invaded our shores. The words of this third-rate government will say, look, guys, I'm just reading this article, right? This is the article, and it's quite a strongly worded article. The words of this third-rate government will send shivers down the spines of everyone, not just those in this pretty part of rural East Sussex. Waved into their warm, comfortably set up where a single adult male migrant who received taxpayer-funded bed and board while the asylum claim is being processed. The naivety of the Home Office knows no bounds. I'm reading this article, okay? Officials say each will be housed for up to 3 months, then removed from the UK if their claim is rejected. It's ridiculous. It claims robust safety and public protection safeguards have been put in place with specialist security on site 24/7 and restrict signing procedures for residents. Yes, they really called them residents, but there is nothing to stop them absconding and joining the already thriving underground population, disappearing into the black economy which operates using the currency of criminality. So here's the thing, guys. What do you think is going to happen, right? Let's just say, for argument's sake, we're talking about Crowbridge now, Crowborough. So these migrants that are in Crowborough, right? They're only there for 3 months, allegedly. We'll go with what they're saying here. You know, the Home Office are claiming they're only going to be there for 3 months, and then they're going to be deported or whatever, you know, or moved into a house. So what do you think they're going to do if they think, if they're going to get deported? What do you think they're going to do? Do you think they're going to sit there and wait to get deported? Or do you think they're going to go into these underground networks? We know they're there, right? I was watching, I read an Andrew Bridgen. Go on, what's the guy? He's awesome. I think he should be Prime Minister. Rupert Lowe. I couldn't even remember his name. I saw one of Rupert Lowe's posts, and he was saying Rupert, like, honestly, isn't Rupert Lowe just awesome? I don't know him, but my perception of him is that he's just awesome. I could listen to him talk. I could just listen to him talk. I want him to tell me a bedtime story. I do. I want Rupert Lowe to read me a bedtime story. But I was reading one of his posts, and he's trying to find out the true numbers of people in the United Kingdom. Now, one of the things he said, obviously there's the supermarkets thing, right? With the amount of food that's being sold in the United Kingdom, supermarkets have actually calculated that no, we're actually, we've got, I think, 10 million more people. There's another extra 10 million more people in the United Kingdom. Now, this was a while ago they said that. I think maybe 10 years ago they were saying that. What Rupert Lowe's doing, he's had information about mobile phone usage in the UK. And he was saying that there are over 91 million active mobile phones in the United Kingdom. Now, I get it, you know, some people have a work phone, you know, so I totally get that. Some people have, I mean, I've got a dual SIM card phone. I've got my Ukraine number and I've got, you know, my UK number. So I get that. But, you know, it's a big contrast. It's a big contrast that we have 91 million active mobile phones in the United Kingdom. And we are claimed to have 60, I think just over 60 million people. You know, anyway, so what I'm saying is it's very easy to go and hide in these underground networks, you know, these criminal networks. Nigel Farage himself, he did a little talk, and he said, I think he was saying one third of all migrants vanish. Where do they go? You know, they're not on the system, right? So they can't claim housing, they can't claim any free stuff. So like, where do they go? They don't have a national insurance. Where do they go? We've seen reports of people living in Sherwood Forest. You know, we've got people living in Sherwood Forest now. Just random gangs living in Sherwood Forest. And look, I've said this is coming. It is coming, where you're going to get some sort of lefty lawyers, right? And those lefty lawyers are going to say, whoa, hang on a minute. This is what's coming. Hang on a minute. So you're telling me you live in that tent in Sherwood Forest? Yes. You know, if you say to me you've been there for 10 years, you can claim adverse possession. What's adverse possession? Well, adverse possession is where you claim that land is yours now and you own it. Oh, how do I do it? Well, you don't have to do anything but sign this document that gives me half of that land and I'll do it you for free. Yeah, whatever, I'll sign that. And that's what's coming. Mark my words. So why would these people hang around? You know, why would they hang around if you know, why would you hang around in these migrant camps in Crowborough if you think you're going to get removed? You wouldn't, would you? You'd be gone. You'd be gone, dilly bon. It's not as if this government can be trusted when it comes to keeping the public safe, right? You've got Hedashu in Epping. You know Hedashu in Epping, who was jailed for a year and then mistakenly freed. I'm not making this up, guys. This is not a parody. What I'm saying now happened, okay? This is not some parody on some, like, you know, dystopian, from some dystopian movie. We have this guy, Hadash, whatever his name was, you know, jailed for sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl. I'm not making that up. I'm not speculating. Jailed, mistakenly freed, and sent home with a bag of cash. Oh, can you imagine when he got back? Oh, all right, Hadush. Nice to see you back. Oh, I've got a load of money. Oh, wow, yeah, what did you do? Oh, I went to the UK and sexually assaulted a girl. What? Yeah, they just put me on a plane, give me all this money and said, go home. Where do I sign up? Just the number of prisoner releases, when you look into this, you know, it's ridiculous, right? Accidental releases. I don't even know how that happens, but it does, you know. So it's quite clear the government can't be trusted, right? But I know David Lammy's on the case. Miss Mahmood has sought to strike a hard line on illegal immigration. Does anybody trust her? You know when you get Shabina Mahmood, and she comes up and she's saying she's getting tough on immigration. Do you think she is? I don't think she is. But she's admitting now, even Shabina Mahmood is admitting. Have you seen that Welsh girl? You know the Welsh girl who's she's like the wellness, the fitness coach or something. Sorry, I'll go on. I'm digressing. Anyway, so Miss Mahmood has said that the illegal immigration is tearing our country apart, but she is completely missing the point. Public anger is huge and will only grow as Labour plays politics with the issue. The government claims that more than 400 hotels were opened under the Tories at a cost of 9 million a day. it says that under 200 remain, with overall asylum costs down 15% as it seeks credit for addressing the number one issue for voters. But it's smoke and mirrors because nothing has been done to reduce the numbers arriving here illegally. And that's what we keep saying. Oh, we're closing hotels. We've closed hotels. What? Right, well, where have you put these people? Oh, in a house. Last year, 41,000 illegal migrants made it across the channel in small boats, the second highest number on record. And these are just the ones noted by officials. And it's almost certain, it's almost certain there will have been a number of, a number of people made it over the channel. I wouldn't be able to estimate it, but there will have been a certain number of people made it over the channel and just vanished, right? We've seen this happening. There's lots of videos online about this, The United Kingdom's borders are, absolutely like as leaky as a sieve. It's ridiculous. And there isn't any going back now. There's absolutely no going back. I just read you guys an article there, and the article's quite a strongly worded article. That is an article from the Express. It was released today, 6 o'clock in the morning. Labour claims it's solving the UK migrant crisis, but the truth will make your blood boil. Is anybody else's blood boiling about this? Because I know mine is. I know it is, guys. I know my blood is absolutely boiled when I think about this. Riots this year guaranteed. Listen, I thought like last year, I thought it was going to come. I did. I thought it was going to come. I don't think we can change it now. I don't think mass protesting is going to help. I think last year was like the last chance that people could make a real change. I mean, look what's happening in Iran, right? Look how ferociously those guys have protested, and they've not managed to change things. Millie Mono is saying Rupert Lowe Holly, one man. Rupert Lowe Holly? I don't know what you mean. Linda is saying, that's the problem, isn't it? The dinghy boys are big business. They are. People are making a ton of money. People are making an absolute killing out of this. We are getting the worst of the worst. Yeah. So another thing that happens is Labour government have come out and they are saying that they are net migration is down or something because look, they're cheering that it's 800,000, right? That's ridiculous, right? 800,000 is a ridiculous number, all right? 800,000 is so ridiculous. Like, yay, we got net migration down to 800,000. So you guys visualize 41,000, right? Like, where is it? Hang on, give me a second. Right. Okay. So let me show you this picture. Okay. So 41,000 people came into the United Kingdom on small boats last year. Okay. I know it's not full, but 41,000 people is enough to fill that stadium, right? That's 41,000 people for you. So you guys can imagine that stadium full, right? Imagine that stadium full. That will hold 41,000 people. That is the amount of people that have come over on small boats, just on rubber dinghies. Where are they all going? Where are they all going? And like I said right at the beginning of this live stream, guys, okay, at some point it's got to break. The inevitable will happen, but that's just the small boats. Net migration. So we're talking about people who've come over on visas, people who've brought their families over, all sorts of stuff. That's like 800,000. 800,000. But the government are like, yes, we managed to get it down to 800. What? You got it down to 800,000? And what they're saying as well is because because we're having, you know, a lot of people leave the country. Like in the United Kingdom, we had 40, last year we had 40, was it 45.2 millionaires left the United Kingdom every day. The government are saying, yes, but we're getting rid of a lot of people as well. A lot of people are leaving. Yeah, we don't want those taxpayers to leave. We don't want the people that have got money and that are spending in shops. We don't want those to leave. We don't want to, like, Sean, where are you going? Oh, well, I've got a couple of million in the bank, so I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go live in America. Oh, right. Who are you gonna replace me with? Mohammed over there. Oh, what does he do? Absolutely nothing. Oh, so Sean, will you be spending money in our shops anymore? Nope. Will you be paying UK tax anymore? Nope. What about your kids? Will they be? Nope. You've got Mohammed now. Oh, well, 1-for-1 swap. Equality, guys, 1-for-1 swap. It's ridiculous. Yeah, Cambridge is, sorry, Bandagain is saying the Cambridge population is 800,000. Rocky Mountain Bear is saying it's not that big of an island. I think you're referring to the United Kingdom. Yeah, look, right at the beginning of this live stream, I said to you guys, I was like, first few seconds of this live stream, I said, look, we have a number, and the number is X, right? Whatever that number is X, that is the amount of taxes we can collect every year. And that's going down as well, right? Because when more people with money are leaving the United Kingdom, the amount of tax revenue actually drops. So, you know, when you put taxes up to try and pay for things because you can't make money, when you put taxes up because people are leaving and you need more money, so you put taxes up so more people leave, so you get less money. What they should be doing to attract people is having no taxes. Like, why do we have to pay? Honestly, it's just so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I heard a thing as well. You know this app, Vinted? Like, Vinted. Is Vinted the one where you sell secondhand clothes and stuff? Like, you have to do tax return for Vinted now? It's ridiculous. Honestly. So you're making so you're selling an old, I don't know, you're selling your clothes for a couple of, I don't know how much you sell them for. You know, and you have to pay tax on that. What about if you do I don't know. It's just so ridiculous. But yes, sorry, Rocky Mountain Bear. At the beginning of this live stream, I was saying, there is a number and it's X and it's Y. When X doesn't meet Y, it's going to collapse. And I'm just talking about financially. I think violence will be here before then. Before the United Kingdom collapses financially, I think there will be huge levels of violence already here. Okay, Yatagaratsu is saying, I hear Vinted is God. Jake Monroe has a Vinted jacket on. His had added spike studs to it. Okay, I don't know where we're going with that, but you know, we all love a jacket with spike studs on it, I guess. UFO Enigma is saying, UFO Enigma, did you watch my video when I was talking about UFOs could be Atlanteans? UFO Enigma is saying, human rights, ditch the ECHR. We ain't in the EU, so why should we adhere to the ECHR? I agree. I absolutely agree. And somebody on the chat earlier said, I blame Brexit for this. And I said, we've never really left the European Union. We've never really done Brexit because we've never left the European Court of Human Rights. Christine Chambers is saying, read my comment, Sean. I'm reading it. Right. I'm going to assume your, Let me jump up. Can you put it again? I don't know how far it was up. I'm just looking up the comments now. I can't. Can you put your comment again, please? I'm trying to find your comment, Christine Chambers. Can you put it again? I can't find it. Oh, no, that's not. I don't know where I don't know. Guys, there's a lot of comments. I can't. I don't know where it is. Sean, you're allowed to earn £1,000 on Vinted. Then you have to pay tax on money you have paid tax on to buy clothes you sell. So let me get this right, okay? You have to pay tax for selling your second-hand clothes. Am I getting this right now? You have to pay tax for selling your second-hand clothes? Is that where we are? Is that where we are? Is that where we are as a country? I don't even have words, guys. I don't even have words. Band Again is saying, hope reform court case gets elections back on in May. Yeah, so do I. Look, it shouldn't, like... And this is not the first time some of these counts... So for those of you guys who don't know, the local elections in May, I think 29 of them have been postponed. Now, they're not telling when they're postponed for. They're not saying why or anything. They're just saying they're being postponed. Now, as far as I'm concerned, voting and the ability to vote, I mean, I'm surely there's something where it says if you don't get to vote, you don't have to pay tax. But yeah, Reform UK are putting in a legal challenge to the government to try and get those elections back on. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. Why? And you're going to see. You're going to see real quick how the legal system gets manipulated. UFO Enigma says, only just came across you, mate. Just subscribe. Thank you so much, UFO Enigma. I do, sometimes I do UFO videos. I try and get a couple of UFO videos out in the week. The Watchman is saying you get taxed for farting. Gone Commando is saying no taxation without representation. Exactly. It's ridiculous. Illegal aliens, James. Illegal aliens. Sean, you move your eyebrow, you owe tax on that. He's crackers. On clothes, so you pay on clothes that's had tax paid when new already. Yeah, so when you buy your clothes, right? First of all, you pay for the clothes, right? Think about this, guys. Just think about this, right? You're paying for clothes with money that's already been taxed, right? Because you have to pay tax because you earn it, right? So you're buying clothes with money that's already been taxed. Those clothes, when you buy them, have got a tax on them. They've got VAT on them, right? So you've paid two taxes there straight away, right? And then if you wear those clothes and sell it, you get another tax. That's crackers. That is, I didn't realize, guys. I didn't realize. I don't have Vinted. Vinted. The Willow Fairy is saying 3i Atlas is a ship. Listen, I'm not worried about 3i Atlas. I'm worried about the other one. I'm worried about Apophis. Yeah, hang on. Yeah, I'm not worried about 3i Atlas. I'm worried about Apophis. Tax after tax. Holly is saying tax. It's tax after tax. And then you know what? If you live in the United Kingdom as well, you do all that, right? You get taxed on the money you earn, right? You get taxed on the stuff you buy, and then if you want to sell the stuff you've already paid tax on, you get taxed on it again, right? And then if you if you keep going, you make some money, you manage to make some money, and then you die, you get taxed on that as well. Linda Lou, right. Sorry, guys. Let me try and find Christine's comment. Comment, Sean. I can't see it, Christine. I can't see your comment. Oh, there we are. Oh. Right, hang on. Let me get this up. Give me a second, guys. Try and thank you, Christine. Sorry, I missed that. Give me a second. Oh, I'm just right. Sorry. I can't find anything. Interesting. Right, let me check X. Give me a second. Right, okay, so right, I'm getting this now. Right, so I'm not going to share this because I've shot myself in the foot doing that before. So people are saying Kurds versus Syrians last night in Manchester, migrant wars. Kurds versus Syrians last night, migrant wars. So for those of you guys who don't know, geographically, Kurdistan is in the it's like the north. It's a disputed area. It's in the northern. It's called the northern. It's like a northeast corridor in Syria. And when the war in Syria happened, the Kurdish fighters were pushed into that region, supported by special forces units. So Kurds and Syrians don't like each other. I'm looking at videos here. I don't know how authentic they are. Yeah, this is from 18 minutes ago. Migrant wars in Manchester. Look, I'm not going to share this with you because I don't know if. Right. Okay. So it's okay. So clashes. Do you know what? Give me a second, guys. Let me try and get some more context for this. I didn't realize this was happening. So there's something brewing in Manchester, basically, and they're calling it on the Curry Mile. Look, guys, I don't know what this means. But I've said this would happen, right? I've said this would happen because when civil war comes, it's not going to be us versus them. It's going to be us versus them, allied with them until those guys are defeated. So what looks like it's happening right now in Manchester is violent clashes between Syrian migrants and Kurdish migrants. The core trigger is renewed fighting back in Syria. So they're clearly bringing this back onto, they're clearly bringing the wars back. Why don't they go home and fight them, right? Why don't they, if they're that, if they're that concerned, why don't they just go home? You know what happened when the Ukraine, war started in 13, 14. Do you know what happened in Ukraine? The whole Ukrainian diaspora just went back to Ukraine. All the Ukrainians that had left, they all went back to Ukraine to protect the motherland. All the men, like literally all the men went east to fight the Russians. Paradoxically, in some countries, when a war breaks out, all the men flee and then, bring that war onto other countries. So yeah, Christine Chambers is saying in Manchester there was quite a lot of stuff happening in Manchester in and around this area. And as I'm understanding it, it is from Syrian and Kurdish gangs. So And another one of the reasons why Kurdish gangs are fighting with the Syrians is that whole northeast corridor. That whole northeast corridor of Kurdistan, it's not Kurdistan, Syria, basically. That Syrian northeast corridor, that's where all the oil is. So that's why the Americans obviously wanted to go into there. And so now you've got like this semi-autonomous region stemming from, I would say, I will say, from Erbil in Iraq up to Duhok, to Fishkabur, all the way across. You go through various little towns, Ahmouda, Ain Issa, you get to Kobane and then Membeach, and that whole region. That's where the oil is, basically. That's where the Kurds are. Bandagain is saying Apophis arrives on Friday the 13th. It does indeed. It does indeed. Oh, and Christine saw it live at 4:30. Right, Christine, am I right in saying that this is migrants attacking migrants, Kurdish versus Syrians? They ain't going to show up on the back of a comet. It's a slow way to get around. They have craft. I could go for hours on this, guys. I could go for hours. Okay, so if aliens are coming and they are on this Apophis asteroid that arrives on Friday the 13th, they might just be using it as a shield, right? They might have thought, right, that asteroid's going close, or we are going to fire an asteroid, and that asteroid is going to mask our fleet, right? Yes, of course, they can, so they use their craft to get here, but then they could use the comet as cover. The comet is also a free ride, as Gon Commando is saying. And also, if I was to build a spaceship, remember, a spaceship doesn't have to be aerodynamic, because there's no aerodynamics in space. There's, what's it called? Go on. It's not aerodynamics. It's, can't remember. So there's no aerodynamics in space. And if I was to build a spaceship, I would go and find a comet. I would hollow it out. I'd use all the resources from that comet, and that would be my spaceship. Right, listen, I'm going to start to close this down now, guys. The crux of this live stream was just a bit, I just wanted to throw things out there, because things are just getting worse with this migrant crisis in the United Kingdom. And as we've just seen there, we have, Christine Chambers said, we're now starting to see migrant on migrant violence in the United Kingdom. This looks like it's happening in Manchester, where you've got Kurds fighting Syrians on the streets. Remember, when civil war comes, it's not going to be civil war in this, it's not going to be a civil war in the case of government versus the rebels. It's going to be so much more fractured like that, and it's going to look more like Northern Ireland. Remember, we don't have guns in the United Kingdom, so we don't really have a way to protect ourselves. Things are just getting worse. And you know what? I said on the live stream, at the beginning of the live stream, inevitable violence has come in. It's already here, right? It's already here. So that's what I've been talking about today, ladies and gentlemen. If you're on and you've not done so already, if you guys have not done so already, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share my stuff. I'll be back on later. I'm going to go and have a look at the roof, see if I can make some repairs, and I bid you good morning. I'll see you guys later.